David, you're huge on sustainability. Anybody that knows anything about your fleet or your history knows that. I wonder how much of that comes from being in the state of California and having mandates, having grants and such, and how much of it comes from you.
Yeah, I think, working for LA County sanitation districts, we've always been big on renewable energy and converting waste into resources. So I think it really fits with our, mission of the why. Why are we doing what we do? We're a special district and a public agency, so we provide a public service to the communities we serve. And what can we do better to serve them better? And I think part of that is, reducing emissions from the equipment and vehicles that we operate. And then obviously reducing our requirement or reliance on carbon. So using renewables and actually creating these renewables from our own waste products. And one of those, or a couple of examples of those, would be collecting the biogas created from landfills, as well as wastewater treatment plants, and converting that into a renewable resource and vehicle fuel. So, for years we've been converting these biogases into renewable natural gas and renewable electricity. And more recently, we've been using that to put back into the ecosystem and using that to fuel our vehicles. And what does that do? That provides, taking that waste product and actually putting it into another reuse application to better support the communities that we serve.
Where did your passion for sustainability come from?
Yeah, as a father with a couple of young children, I really want to kind of leave this world a better place for them and future generations to come. So, and I'm very pleased to work for an agency like LA County Sanitation Districts, because I get to do good work and actually, reduce our carbon footprint and, show that example to other organizations out there. So that's what really drives me. And I really love the efficiency piece with sustainability as well. It's like we should be doing things more efficient. So that, coupled with, the environmental aspect, really kind of drives me in the work I do.
Now, what advice would you give fleet managers in other states where maybe the mandates are slow to come, or there aren't any, or the grants aren't really available? How would you advise them to start on a journey to sustainability?
Yeah, I think it's, obviously operating in California, we have a lot of grant money and funds, which makes it very easy with that transition. But in other states, I would look at and things like, renewable diesel. We've converted our whole off-road equipment to renewable diesel, and maybe that isn't quite available in a lot of states today. But start asking your fuel suppliers. I want to get renewable diesel. How can I get that? What is the path? Asking the questions and creating that demand. There's definitely going to be a lot more capacity coming online in the coming years. So starting that conversation with your fuel suppliers. Converting to renewable diesel is one of the easiest ways to reduce your total carbon footprint by 65% or more. And it's a drop-in fuel. It's very easy to convert your fleet. Before you go down the electrification path, I encourage everyone to look at that renewable diesel as a stepping stone to kind of reduce your carbon footprint.
What would you say to people who are maybe skeptical of climate change, don't think it exists, or think it's something that, could put off till future centuries to deal with?
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think of it as climate change. I think it as more of an efficiency standpoint. A lot of times it's, we've only got a finite amount of resources in this world. If we keep using fossil fuels, they're not going to be around forever. So we need to look at ways to reduce our reliance on these precious resources out there. So what can we do that's more efficient and uses less of these resources? So basically, stop waste. We're such a wasteful society. So one is, how do we eliminate that waste? And one is to improve efficiencies. And then two is just reduce that carbon element. So it's all about decarbonization or reduction in carbon in everything we do. What's one of the biggest sources of carbon in the fleet or equipment world? It's basically diesel fuel. It's the amount of fuel that a piece of equipment burns. So that's basically the number one target that we should be looking at from a fleet or equipment standpoint. Anything we can do to reduce idling or unnecessary waste on equipment, will ultimately reduce our carbon footprint, reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, which is going to, ultimately impact, the climate and the negative impacts that we have as humans on that climate.